Good day, everyone. Oneji here. Today we're going to be discussing the topics of Qualia and Quanta, or the incarnation of the self, or how are selves brought into existence, and also another subject, which is subject-object, which is terms that for many of you who have been studying any of the non-dual teachings or the Advaita Vedanta teachings, you will have heard the term subject-object many times, probably by the sages giving the discussions. So here we go. I'm going to begin by discussing something that I discussed on the previous video, which is the formless void. So we can think of pure awareness, or nothingness, or emptiness, or that which is, that which can't be described as basically the formless void. It simply is. It always has been. It always will be. It's always ever present. It exists outside of time, yet within it all things exist. In the end, it is actually the center of everything that is and the center of everything that isn't. So, from this formless void emerged the I. Now this is the I without a subject. Okay, so it's the I. It's the one without the other. It's simply I. Meaning at this stage, nothing is actually in existence. Pure awareness or presence simply developed the notion of there being an I. Next came the I am. Now I am is the stage of the game, so to speak, where all things that exist came into existence. So basically, all subject objects, all things with qualities or with quantities, now comes as a result of the I am. So basically, we could think of it as I am a subatomic particle. I am a group of subatomic particles that collect together in a certain way to form an atom. I'm a group of atoms that form together in a certain way to create a molecule. I'm a group of molecules that form together in a certain way to create a cell. I am a group of cells, trillions and trillions of cells that collect together to form a human being, and so on. So I'm going to begin by discussing subject. So what does subject mean in this context? Basically, in English, the subject names the doer or the beer. And no, the last word is not beer, it's beer. So, who does the action? Whom are we speaking about? So in this case, this subject is actually the pseudo-subject, meaning it appears within awareness or pure consciousness, but in essence, it's just an image, it's just an illusion, it's just a facade. But at the same token, for things to be able to make any sense within manifestation, there needs to be a subject, else we wouldn't have anyone to speak about. For instance, if I said, went to the store, the first thing that may come to your mind is, who went to the store? It's missing the subject. It describes an action, a place, went to the store. In this case, went is the verb, the store is the object, but who went to the store? Which brings us to the discussion about verb or verbs. So a verb is the main elements of predicates that typically express action, state, or relation between two things. And that may be inflected for tense, meaning past, present, future, aspect, voice, mood, etc. It goes on and on and on. It's also a verb is to show agreement between the subject and the object. So we should notice here that in order for any of this to make any sense, there has to be at least two things. Without two things being in existence, there can be no relationship. So relationship or relation is another word for duality, two things, plus and minus. Then we have the object, which is the receiver of the action. So if I were to say the glacier melted into the ocean, in this case the ocean is the receiver of the action, which is the melting of the glacier. And we can go on and give infinite examples of this. So this has been a tool that has been used because it's a very simple tool. It's something that we all can relate to. For instance, we can say, my parents. And all of us have had two parents. Maybe we never knew both of them, but we've had at least two parents, a father and a mother. I can say, this is my dog. Meaning, in this case, the dog is the object and I'm the subject, because I say mine. My. There has to be two things in order for there to be anything spoken about, which creates a really interesting dilemma when we're attempting to understand that which is, that which has no measurements, that which has no quality, because we can't really speak about it. It is not a thing. We can't speak about it in relation to anything else. It can't even speak about itself in relation to anything else, because there is nothing else but it. So this creates an interesting dilemma for us, for the mind, because basically once awakening happens, what happens is that particular individual now is able to think in two terms, if you will. That is, simultaneous awareness being ever present, everywhere, and at the same token being locally present. So we can think of the consciousness, awareness, as being non-local. It doesn't exist in relation to anywhere, whereas the human body, what we refer to as our body, is local. It exists in relation, if nothing else, to the earth. Why? Because we're all on the earth. Wherever you are, wherever you go on this planet, you're on the earth. Whether you're walking on the earth, whether you're sitting on a chair, whether you're in a multi-story building, you are in relationship to the earth. So basically, there's always a subject, there's always a verb, and there's always an object. So it's a subject, verb, object. This is how we communicate. This is how we relate to things. Now I'm going to introduce another term, qualia. So what is qualia? Qualia is a quality, such as happiness, which is also regarded as an independent object. So when we think of happiness, it's a thing. If I think of sadness, it's also a thing. It's independent of the source. In other words, I can be happy, you can be happy, anyone can be happy, my dog can be happy, my cat can be happy. So it's not related to any particular object, yet objects can actually experience it, a quality. It's also a sense, datum, or feeling, having a distinct quality. Now here's a very interesting term when I looked this up in the dictionary, because look at the first words here, sense, datum, meaning sensory experience of some type, or a feeling having a distinctive quality. So a qualia is, for instance, when you walk into an open field, there's a feeling presence. There's a certain quality to it. You may feel at peace. You may feel relaxed. You may have a sense of awe. There's something about this collection of objects around you that has a certain quality, a certain feeling. Qualia, that's what a qualia is. Now there's quanta, which is actually the plural of quantum. Now a quanta is a quantity or amount. So in a way, if we think of when awareness first decided to bring everything into existence, one of the ways it did that, as far as we can understand in the context of what a mind can understand, is it first had to have a quantity. In other words, I have to have something to make something. So I may have the entire subatomic soup, which is infinite, but from that I collect certain particles together in a certain way, and now a human being is formed. Now we can think of it like this: quality, quantity, or quantity, quality. Really, qualia and quanta don't exist independent of each other. They are interdependent on each other, because whatever can be quantified also has a quality to it. And of course, if it has to have a quality to what? A quality to something that's been quantified or put together. So this will make a little bit more sense perhaps when we look at a few pictures which I borrowed from the internet. So let's take a look at this picture and examine it, if we will. So when this picture first came to the screen, what did you feel? Just a moment ago when I said I'm going to bring a picture up, what were you anticipating to see, if anything at all? So when we look at this picture, how many different objects are actually in this picture, as well as how many subjects are in this picture? We can say the couple is standing on the seashore. So in this case, the couple is the subject and the seashore is the object. We can also say the water is splashing on the couple. So in this case, the water is the subject and the couple is the object, and the splashing is the verb. So how many different relationships just in this one picture can a person put together? And so it's important for us to understand that awareness through I am made arrangements with the quanta and the qualia to bring all of this into existence. Not to mention, look at this gorgeous sun shining right in between this couple. So in your mind now, what might you be thinking that the man is thinking about the woman, or the woman is thinking about the man? Now here are other qualities. Maybe they're so captivated to be touching each other, it's as if they don't exist anymore. Or perhaps they are so focused on each other's eyes, the only thing that exists is their eyes. And what might we think, for instance, the trees over to the right are thinking about this, if they're thinking anything at all? Who knows what the landscape or anything else is thinking? For instance, the arrangement of the trees, the sand, the water, the waves coming in, the sunset, all of this creates a certain mood, a certain feeling. There's a qualia to the entire picture. But if we introduce this thing called time, and we let time progress, sooner or later that gorgeous sun will disappear, and then it will be nighttime. And depending upon what phase the moon is in, we don't know how much of the couple we would be able to see anymore. So let's go on to another picture. Here we have another picture of a couple embraced on the beach. But now we have two horses. So if we look at this particular picture, how many subjects are in this picture? How many objects are in this picture? We can say the ocean provided the mood for the couple to look into each other's eyes. And we can say, look at the magnificent horses who are standing in the water, who is all supported by the sand beneath their feet. Then we could go even further to say, the cool water made both the horses and the couple feel so well. But when you look at this picture, what are you feeling? What's the qualia of this picture? And when you look at this picture, what about the quanta? What about the quantity? What are you feeling? Are you feeling vast open space around you? Or are you feeling boxed in? All of these thoughts and feelings are emerging now for you, and the thoughts and feelings emerge, then they disappear. Where did they come from? Where did they go to? What is the ultimate source of everything that is? And for that matter, as you're looking at the screen now, at this picture, who are you? What are you about? Ponder that. Who am I? As we move on to the next picture. Now, ooh, this is quite a change in scenery. So when we look at this couple now, do we have the same qualia about it? What are the feelings about it? This picture. Are these two in a loving embrace? Or are they simply arguing? And think about it. You have a brain. You have a mind. You're able to look at the computer screen, process the images, and cognize ideas about the images. But basically, all of this time, all you've really been looking at is an image on the screen. Yet, all of these feelings emerged. All of these notions about what's going on, including why is Oneji even discussing any of this today? All of these different states of beings. And speaking of that, when you look at this picture, do you feel closed in? Do you feel more expansive? Would you like to sit here and look at this picture for the rest of the day, or would you prefer to go back to the pictures before? So we each and every one of us have preferences. Why do we have preferences? Why is one qualia better than another qualia? Think about it, if you will. Look at this picture now. Two lovers embraced, smelling a rose. Now, what is the qualia of this picture? If we could put this picture and the previous picture next to one another, which would you prefer? Would you be able to look at both of them and have the same feeling? Would you say they're the same, or would you say they're different? We probably could all agree that they're very different. The feelings between the two would be quite different. Now we're back into the duality of all life. One day we're sniffing a rose with our beloved. The next day we're screaming at each other over, why didn't you wash the clothes? Or you folded the clothes incorrectly? Or you didn't go to the store and buy eggs today? The list goes on. Now look at this picture. Quite different from all of the others, isn't it? Here we have a family. We have a family having a meal. So when I look in this picture here, how many subjects are there? How many objects are there? When you look at this picture, what do you feel? What quality does it have? Do you feel more closed in this picture? Or do you feel more expansive? Would you say the people here are having fun? Or would you say they're arguing? Now, you know. You make decisions every day. Most of them are unconscious. You look at something, you feel a certain way. You may start having feelings about something and not even be aware why. Basically, the human mind, the human body is designed to respond, to react. The qualities of life. So, here we have duality once again, black and white. Very interesting when you think about it. How dynamic it is, a human being is, how much different abilities we have. Yet, we say, I have these abilities, but the reality is, no, I don't. There is no doer. We have never done anything. All doing, all being, is none other than awareness, or consciousness, or God. We are simply the instruments that awareness uses through I am to have experiences, because without all of these objects and subjects, and who knows how many universes there are, there's probably infinite ones, all these interactions occurring, all of these are experiences that the divine is having through us. Now, many of us are familiar with the terms yang and yin. Yin and yang. Unfortunately, this picture, the guy was on the left and the girl was on the right, so I couldn't do the yin-yang thing. I had to do the yang-yin thing. But I'm sure all of you out there in YouTube land will forgive me for that. But when I saw this picture, I thought about, wow, what an awesome representation of duality. Look at all the components in this picture. All the different colors, shapes, all of the implications that are there. And so often, quite often, as human beings, we were taught, we look up in the heavens thinking that this is where we came from. But the reality is, we came from nowhere. We are no one other than the one. I, the subject without an object. All subjects and all objects in all universes in all times and all spaces are simply movies, if you will, running on their own, and the only one witnessing this is the one. So you may have heard the term pure witnessing or the observer. So we're going to go with the term the witness. So what about this witness? What does it mean to witness, Kevin? Well, think of it as this. There's this man and this woman sitting on this beautiful green color of something, and it's rather abstract. There are other shapes around to imply certain features, but the only thing really sticking out in this picture is the man and the woman. So imagine that this man and this woman are looking up into the heavens, pointing up into the heavens and saying, "We are thankful for our existence. Inspire us, give us inspiration. Let us know who we are, where we're from." Well, guess what? Who's asking the question? Who am I? Where am I from? This separation between that which is witnessing everything in creation, yet no matter how much changes in creation there are, it of itself is never changing because there's nothing to change. It is experiencing itself through all of these forms, all of these shapes, all of these colors. The body can be thought of as a cover for the self, the true self. The pure witness is aware simultaneously of every action and non-action that is occurring in all times, all places. In fact, I am and all creation came into existence at the same time. Everything that is, everything that has been, everything that will be, has already occurred. From the witness's point of view, that is, because the witness is present everywhere, omnipresent. The center of everything that is is none other than the witness. So we can think of it this. The male form is nothing more than a superimposition on nothing. And the female form is also nothing but a superimposition on nothing. When I say nothing, I mean no thing. Pure awareness, consciousness. And so you can think as you add more cover to it, different forms come into being. So what does come into being mean? Basically, it means come into being. How? Who caused it to come into being? Ask yourself this question. You're looking at these forms, you're looking at the colors. Who gave you the ability to think about what you're seeing? How are you able to process all of these images here and come to a conclusion and say, this means this? The ability to see, to hear, to think, to make inferences about what we see here. Where did this ability come from? And we're back into the qualia and the quantity. So the witness created form through I am. I am male. I am female. What qualities, though, did it breathe into the male? And what qualities did it breathe into the female? So in essence, the male has a qualia to it. The female form has a qualia to it. So it's not as if there's just simply an arrangement of quantities of subatomic particles or the subatomic soup or what some would call the quanta. It's not just a matter of arranging a form. Qualities are breathed into it in essence. It becomes animated. It has specific functions. Though male and female are both human, their bodies are designed to do different things. Their neuroendocrine responses to life, to the environment, differ. In some instances, very different, and in other instances, very similar. Who is the cause of this? So when we think about it this way, if there's a man and woman that emerged on the planet, where were their parents? Because we all know that we have parents. So the question is, who was the first parent? Because in our linear sequential thinking, causes have effects. Effects have causes, which leads to other causes, which leads to other effects. It's the infinite change of causes and effects. So, when did and where did the first cause take place? And the answer is, everything came into being at the same time. Which, of course, is the subject for another talk. Farewell for now, my friends. I hope that you enjoyed this talk today. It has been my pleasure to speak to you today on this subject. Have a wonderful day. And remember, rewind the video. Go back through a bunch of the slides. and the pictures. And ask yourself, who's looking at this picture? Whose feeling is this? The qualia of this picture is, how do I know this qualia? Who is the source of all things? Who is this witness Oneji has been speaking about today? Why is Oneji sometimes call it consciousness, other time call it awareness, other time calls it the self, some other times just simply refers to it as that which is? Maybe even nothing or everything. Ponder those things. And what is it about this simultaneous awareness, being able to feel the presence of being everywhere, and at the same token, feeling the presence of being an individual? May awakening come down upon you. Have a wonderful day.